Good afternoon. Here we are again. I am shooting another wedding this weekend. Doing 4 hours of wedding coverage. We are up at Lower Campbell Lake on Vancouver Island, obviously, because that is where I live. I've never been to this area. It's just a pit stop off on the side of the highway, but looked on Google Maps. It looks like there's quite a beautiful beach area surrounded by a lot of mountains. The weather is looking good. The sun is very bright. It's creating a lot of harsh light, so hopefully some clouds roll in and take care of that. And hopefully there's a little forested area nearby that we can dip into and get some shaded photographs. So I think the location will be beautiful. We are doing the wedding party photos, the ceremony there, and then the bride and groom photos. We'll see, you will see how the photos turn out. Here we go.
Wonderful introduction. So this is the wedding venue. As you can see, it's full sun. Beautiful spot. It's not a pit stop like I had said on the intro there. It's actually a rec site, so if you aren't familiar with rec sites, they're free sites that you can camp on. Usually first come, first serve, so the couple actually got very lucky. They arrived early in the morning on the wedding, and there was only a few people here, which they just decided to set up, and the people left. So we basically had the whole site to ourselves. Beautiful location, right on the water. Nice little setup. They even had speakers on the side, which was really nice, with the microphone that ran off a generator. Right now I am just looking around, grabbing those detailed shots like this arch or these flowers. I'm again on my Canon 5D Mark IV, and right now I am on my 24-70mm zoom lens. Like I've said in the past, I prefer zoom lenses just because I am not as comfortable on prime lenses. Eventually I do want to get to shooting solely prime lenses, but for now, the zoom worked perfect for me. This location was a little tricky just because it's such a small location, small area. There's the beach area that you've seen there down by the water, and then there's this very small forested area. I'm just looking around to see where we can take some photos. I want to try to get as many different backgrounds as I can with the wedding couple. And this photo, this forest area works great, as you'll see a little bit later. As we start with the wedding party, I start with the groomsmen. I get everyone to stand in the shade to start, just because that sun is very bright. It creates a lot of harsh shadows on the face, so shade is definitely the best options here, but I do go down to the water because I want a little bit more variation in the photos. These ones turn out great. And you can on my 24-70, I zoom in as much as possible to 70mm when I'm grabbing these, just so I get as much bokeh in the background. Since I'm not using a prime lens, that's kind of the downfall of zoom lenses, so I try to combat that by zooming in as much as I can. For these poses, I do just a variation of them walking, them kind of standing side by side. Did a little bit different poses here where the groom came out front, like you just saw there, so that the background or the other groomsmen are a little bit more blurred. Now we're heading down to the water here. If you are working in full sun, the best bet is to get the sun behind the subject. So I will be shooting with the sun directly in my face. Direct sun facing the subject isn't great, because again, it creates a lot of those harsh shadows, but also it's hard to smile. Everyone's sweating a lot. You get a lot of squinty eyes, closed eyes. So putting the sun directly behind them is a lot better. I don't do too much here. I just do a horizontal and a vertical for them. Just embracing each other, getting close, laughing. This log here I found was cool, so I decided to get them to all jump up on it. I think this photo turned out really well.
That's
So the groom let me know that there is a small path down at the end of the beach here. We decided to explore it because, like I said before, I want to get as much variety in the photos as I can, so different locations is best. Here, it is a small pathway, so I just decided to line them all up and have the groomsmen poke their heads out from behind the groom. Turned out for a good photo. So as the bridesmaids are getting ready, I take the moment to shoot some fine detailed shots of their reception area for dinner. Now with the whole wedding party, again, starting in that shade, I get the wedding party to talk to each other, look at each other, laugh at each other, and then do a lot of walking poses. For these ones, I usually get the bride and groom to look at each other, and I go between poses of having the groomsmen and the bridesmaids all look at me while the bride and groom are looking at each other, and vice versa, having the groom and bride look at each other, and then the bridesmaid and the groomsmen all looking at them. Again, we move down to the water here, sun at the back of them. Tuck everybody in nice and close. And it turns out to be a wonderful photo.
Great. Everyone look here, big smiles.
So after those photos, we're kind of in a limbo area. So all the guests are arriving here. Everyone's kind of just waiting around for the wedding to begin. So I'm just floating around on my 24-70, grabbing as many photos as I can of people laughing, people having a good time. That's all you can really do in these moments. You could go down and photograph some more fine detailed stuff of the setup, but I've already done that. In hindsight, I should have put my 70-200 lens on for this. That way I could get closer shots without being too much of a creep. But this 24-70 worked out well. As the wedding is beginning, I always start at the front, grab the groomsmen and the groom walking up to the front. I position myself off to the side, the bride's side, and just wait for them to walk down the aisle. Very short aisle and fast walkers. You have to be very quick when grabbing these photos. I usually just grab a horizontal and a vertical photo just so that they have options. These ones turned out nice. The outhouse placement could have been better, but if they want, you could Photoshop that out. I didn't do it. So when the ceremony begins, I move off to the back. Again, I should have chose my 70-200 lens just because of the amount of space that I have around this venue. The 24-70 does work, but there are some shots that I would have liked to grab a little bit closer. It just means you have to be awkward and kind of get in the way of people, which I don't like doing for weddings. I don't like being a disturbance. So I just go back and forth between one side and the other, photographing the bride while the groom is reading his vows and vice versa, grabbing as many photos, horizontal and vertical, of their reactions. And then I also grab photos of the guests, particularly the parents of the bride and groom. As you can see, I was really hoping for the sun to go behind clouds. It does a little bit later when we're doing the family and friends portraits photos, but didn't ever for the ceremony, which is fine. You kind of have to make do with what you're given. I think the photos turned out very well, and a lot of the harsh shadows you can kind of edit away in post. So for the first kiss, because I am only on a 24 to 70 millimeter lens, I kind of have to sneak up here into the a little bit further down the aisle, which is a little awkward. I don't prefer to do that, but I wanted to make sure that I got a good perspective of the kiss. Very, very quick kiss. So again, one of those things you have to grab as fast as possible. And then now I move myself back and just wait for the bride and groom to walk down the aisle. Everyone in the crowd had these pockets of flowers that they were throwing as confetti, which is very exciting because the photos turned out great with the flying confetti. Now I'm just quickly trying to grab as many photos of the bridal party as they're coming down the aisle. The last one here I couldn't get because there were people in the way and everyone was just so quick, but that's okay. So now we're in that limbo phase again where the wedding ended. Everyone's kind of just waiting to hear what's happening next. And this is where I photograph as many reactions as possible. Now we're going to be doing some very quick photos of the bride and groom.
You guys can kind of stop there.
I chose to come over into this forested area that I was looking at before. Not much over here, but it does create a great backdrop, the green backdrop.
Close just like that.
And plus the shade is very nice. The only thing you want to be careful of when you are photographing in the forest is the mixture of shade and sun that the trees sometimes do. You want to get away from that. You want to be in full shade, especially the face. If you can avoid that, the spots of sun, it goes a long way. It looks a lot better if you can get a full face in shade or in sun. You don't ever want that spotty sunlight in your photos. Doesn't look great.
You had flowers, right?
I did.
They are down there. I can grab them. I will grab them.
Now I just realized the bride had forgot her flowers, so I went to go run and grab them for her.
The smell from the barbecue is just like in this area.
So for these, I'm just grabbing as many different poses as I can while we're here. A lot looking together, a lot just both standing side by side looking at me. Those photos of the bride and groom standing side by side, just holding hands, kind of seem boring, but those are the most requested photos from family members. Those are the photos that the couple are going to print and put on their wall or on their mantle, and that's what family wants. So even though they seem boring, they do still need to happen.
And then you can both kind of look out that way. Same pose. Yeah, exactly. That is perfect.
So now we're done here. Moving on to a new location. The only other location that we have down here is down by the water again. Different spot than the other water area. I really like those mountains in the back with the water, so I get them as close to the water as possible. There was this log down here that they could sit on, and these photos turned out really nice. Again, I grabbed some of those family photos of the couple just staring out into the water, and then I get them to look back at me, walk towards the camera while I rapidly fire off photos. I find that these walking photos turn out really well because the couples are very relaxed when they're doing them. You just tell them to walk, so they turn out great, like this photo right here. Easy to do. So now the dinner's over, they've moved into speeches. I switched to my 70-200 lens because I know that I need that distance because I won't be able to get up close. So for this, I am just simply moving around the back here, photographing the reactions, photographing laughs, photographing the person who's giving the speech. And continue to just move around. These tents that they had set up are really nice. They provide a good amount of shade. And surprisingly, they don't give off a blue hue, which I was slightly worried about. Now we move to cake cutting.
Yeah, good to go.
As soon as it started, I realized I should have switched to my 24-70 lens. 70-200 worked okay, but in typical fashion, the bride and groom try to feed each other and shove cake in their face. And with the 70-200, it is very difficult. I had to move back very quickly to capture it. Did get some good shots, but on a 24-70, that would have been a lot better. You live and learn. After that, I'm just floating around again, taking photos of them cutting the cake more, serving the cake. The light got really nice near the end when I was about to leave, so I grabbed a few more photos of the bride and groom in this beautiful light, which looks great. So again, this was 4 hours of wedding photo coverage. The wedding went by very quick, covered a lot in that short amount of time. And for the next one, I am doing 4 hours of photo and video hybrid coverage, which will be my first time doing hybrid. Very excited to see how it turns out. And yeah, see you on the next one.